Hey guys, welcome back to Walking with Jesus Daily, day 172. And I know yesterday's was a bit large, a bit heavy. We had a lot of scripture to cover, with it being Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, with it being such a big story, with there being so many big storylines behind the one big story, and finding the spiritual meaning behind feeding people. But isn't it cool how we drew together, like how God put together the 23rd Psalm to go along with John 3 and John 6, to go along with even communion, to go along with the harvest and what we started this whole journey with. If you go all the way back to day one, to the introduction, day one, we said we've got to pray for workers. We've got to pray for workers of the Lord's harvest, of the people that are out there, the lost. The lost fragments are not left behind. The people are there, they're hungry, and they want to know the truth. But if no one is telling them or showing them the truth, how will they know? If you are a coach or a teacher, if you work in an environment where you're around other people and they don't know Jesus, you could have an entire group of people in these places that have been looking for Jesus their whole life and haven't found him, and you're quiet, or you blend in to look like the world or the people around you. What are we doing? It oftentimes makes me think of David. David, whenever he was in the enemy's lines, I believe it was the Philistines, I could be wrong, but he acted, they said, this is David, this is our chance. And he started acting like a madman. And because he started acting like a madman, they let him go, because they said, this isn't King David, this guy's crazy. So anyway, I'm not sure how I got sidetracked there, but as we read through this stuff, it can't just be things that we hear and listen to. It has to be things that penetrate our heart, and that God is softening up the soil in areas of our heart that have to be changed. Maybe areas that we've refused to change. But let's continue on. Let's continue on with where we are today. We have a mashup of Matthew, Mark, and John. Isn't that interesting? And also, just to note, well, we'll note this tomorrow. Let's just start here for now. Matthew, Mark, and John, which is also a first. Well, maybe not a first, but it's usually Matthew, Mark, and Luke. They're the Gospels that usually go together. So I'll just start reading. How about that? Day 172. Matthew 14, 22 through 27. Mark 6, 45 through 50. And John 6, 16 through 20. Start with Matthew. Immediately he made the disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side while he dismissed the crowds. And remember how that ended, that all had eaten and were satisfied, and they picked up 12 basketfuls of leftovers because Jesus commanded them to have no leftovers. Right, if we go back to Matthew and we read that incredible story in Matthew chapter 14. I'm just getting there, so hold with me please for just a second. At the end, it says in Matthew that they picked up these baskets, and then there's an exclamation point at the end of the last sentence. It says, there were about 5,000 men who were fed, in addition to many women and children. And there's one thing I didn't really realized before that men and women did not eat in the same place if they were in public. I didn't know that. I didn't know there was a men's area and then there was a place for women and children. Anyway, so Jesus does not leave them until they are fed and satisfied. Immediately he made the disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side while he dismissed the crowds. And after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone. But the boat by this time was a long way from land, beaten by the waves, for the wind was against them. Listen to the wording. This is incredible. And in the fourth watch of the night, he came to them, walking on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, "It is a ghost." And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." Yes, and we're reading a real life story. We're reading a story that is being told to us of an event that actually took place. How do we know it to be true? We have 3 writers of eyewitnesses accounting for this story. And again, it's not in great depth or detail. It's just like, hey, here you go. Yeah, Jesus was just walking on water. All right, Mark's account. Immediately he made his disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side to Bethsaida, while he dismissed the crowd. And after he had taken leave of them, he went up on the mountain to pray. And when evening came, the boat was out on the sea, and he was alone on the land. And he saw that they were making headway painfully, for the wind was against them. And about the fourth watch of the night he came to them, walking on the sea. He meant to pass by them, but when they saw him walking on the sea, they thought it was a ghost, and cried out, for they all saw him and were terrified. But immediately he spoke to them and said, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." All right, cool. All right, last one. We'll take the John edition, all right? John didn't write as much about this. You'll find John's book to be quite different in its focus, but yet very awesome. It says, when evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into a boat, and started across the sea to Capernaum. It was now dark, and Jesus had not yet come to them. The sea became rough because a strong wind was blowing. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea and coming near the boat, and they were frightened. But he said to them, "It is I. Do not be afraid." Okay. This is, what a story. So many things that I want to discuss. So let's do this. We have a mashup version. I did want to look at one thing just to see. Okay, yeah. So the fourth watch of the night, just so you know, is between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. All right. So I guess if you go by threes, 6 to 9, 9 to 12, 12 to 3, 3 to 6. So those would be your first, second, third, and fourth watches of the night. This would be a tough watch of the night. This would be the most scary watch of the night, potentially. Let's read this mashup, and again, just know what the mashup actually is. It's just it's not perfect. It's simply trying to take all of the viewpoints and put them in one complete reading, without changing the words. We're keeping the same words in there, without rewording it. Just trying to put it together in a way that we would read it and we could bring all 3, 2, 4, whatever points together. So this is how it reads. When evening came, okay, when the day was done, the people were fed. It doesn't say where they went, and it doesn't say that Jesus sat down and organized with the disciples where all of them could go. They chose to come out to see Jesus. If you choose to come out and see Jesus, you can expect to be fed spiritually. You can expect to be satisfied spiritually. But let's think about for a second where Jesus and his disciples spent their evening. Let's think about the hotel that they stayed in. It was called a Mountain and a Boat. Welcome to the Mountain and Boat Hotel. Okay, this is, let's just call it what it is. We're pretty soft, right? Like, not only do we like to sleep indoors, we like to sleep in our own individual rooms, on our own individual mattresses, with our own covers, and our own sleeping clothes, and our own air conditioning settings. Jesus didn't even sleep. The disciples didn't even sleep, or they took turns because they were trying to get across the sea. It doesn't say that people complained to Jesus because of where they were. It doesn't say that they complained to Jesus because they had to go row across the sea. It says that when evening came, when the day was done, immediately he made the disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side to Bethsaida or Capernaum, while he dismissed the crowds. Now, Capernaum and Bethsaida are up there in that same region, kind of in the north side of the Sea of Galilee. And why they traveled by boat, I don't really know. Maybe it was safer. Maybe it was for this purpose. Everything was for the purpose of what we have it for. But so the disciples got into the boat after the long day of feeding 15, 10, 20,000 people, however many it was. Okay? And it says that Jesus sent them before him to the place they're supposed to go, and he dismissed the crowd. He said, "Hey guys, we're done here. Thank you for coming and listening." He healed people. He had compassion on them. He led them like a shepherd would lead sheep. But he didn't care for every single need that they had. He gave them the greatest need that they had, and that was they needed to be fed spiritually. It says, and after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. He went up on the mountain. He dismissed the crowds in one direction. He dismissed his disciples in another direction, by land and by sea. And he himself hiked up the mountain, and he just spent the evening in prayer. Jesus, the sinless Son of God, after an excruciatingly long day, after teaching nonstop, loving nonstop, healing nonstop, goes up on a mountain. And I can only imagine the higher you get, you feel closer to God. The lower in the valley you get, maybe you feel like you're further away. But he went up on a mountain by himself. He went up there on the mountain by himself to pray. That is the purpose. He spent the evening in prayer. He spent his time with God, as much time as he could possibly get, all the time that he could possibly have. It was like a recharge. I don't know. Was it like, I'm zapped out of my power, I need to be refilled, I'm exhausted, fill me with strength, I'm annoyed, please fill me with patience? I don't know. But he knew what was coming. He and the Father were one. How much time do we spend alone in true deep prayer with the Father? As much time as you spend watching your favorite show? As much time as you spend doing your favorite thing? What if I told you that your prayers could heal the things that ail your friends or your family? What if I told you that if you spent a whole night in prayer for a person, in faithful prayer because you love God and you believe that God would heal that person, would you do it? Do you know that prayer actually does that? Why don't we do that? We don't do a lot of things that are good for us. But the example that Jesus set was, I didn't meet every need that you had. I met the need that was actually a need. Where you sleep, how you sleep, what you eat, how you eat, those things, you're going to be okay. You're going to figure it out. But you needed something that you can't get from a hotel and you can't get from a diner. You needed spiritual food. You needed true bread. This is what we bring to the world, guys. And we have to be in constant prayer to even have a hope that that's possible. It says that when evening came, the boat was out on the sea, beaten by the waves. And he, Jesus, was alone on the land. The details here I love, because you have it very specific where Jesus is and what's going on, and very specific where the boat is and what's going on. It was now dark, and Jesus had not yet come to them. The sea became rough because a strong wind was blowing. And he saw that they were making headway painfully, for the wind was against them. Jesus went up to pray. Did he know what was going to happen on the boat in the wind? Of course he did. Didn't Jesus just put them on a boat in a great storm in the wind to cross over? And what did he teach them? He taught them to have faith. He had power over the wind. Do you think the disciples at any point while they're in this storm that one of them stood up and rebuked the wind? I don't know. He had already sent them out. They were already doing the things that he was doing. Doesn't mean that they possessed those powers all the time, but you kind of wonder, what were they doing in the boat? Or were they hard-headed and just said, we are fishermen, we are going to get through this, we know how to do it? But read the words that he was alone on the land, they were on the boat. They were not together. It was dark outside. Jesus was not with them. The sea was rough because a strong wind was blowing. It says the wind was against them. Matthew and Mark both say this account. The wind was against them. When the wind of life blows hard against you, and Jesus has sent you to a specific place and it seems like everything's against you, may I encourage you not to think that it's Jesus who's against you. May I encourage you instead to realize that this could be Satan trying to prevent you from doing what Jesus has for you to do. And this is my reasoning behind it. You guys believe whatever you want to believe. But when God wanted something to stop, it stopped. When Jesus wanted something or someone to stop, it or they stopped. It wasn't like this time where it was difficult for them. No, people stopped, or people died, or things ended. Satan will do whatever he can to work against you. Satan was given power over even the forces of nature when he attacked Lot. Do not think that he won't come after you in every possible way. Realize that the things that are going against you or opposed to you are meant to trip you up and to try to hurt you and prevent you from doing what Jesus asked you to do. The disciples had no idea why they were going where they were going or what they were doing. They were told what to do. They got in the boat and they went. And the whole way, they were being tested. The whole way, that was difficult because of the wind and because of the storm. And listen to what it says. It says it was against them. And then it says, may I also note that the last time the storm was against them, they were going the opposite direction. And it says, about the fourth watch of the night, somewhere between 3 and 6 a.m., when they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles. This gives you an idea of what they're doing. They have rowed about 3 or 4 miles. He came to them, walking on the sea. Yes, put this in your brains, that a human, Jesus, was walking on top of the water. Think about all the symbolism that goes along with that. It says, he meant to pass by them. His intention was to walk past them on the sea to arrive on land. You say, your disciples are struggling. They are in the boat doing what you've asked them to do. Aren't you going to help them? Aren't you going to calm this storm or switch the wind or do something? You were going to walk past them? How is that helpful? Jesus meant to walk by them. Does this mean that Jesus wasn't around? Does this mean that Jesus didn't care? Jesus didn't find a place for everyone to rest and sleep. Jesus didn't calm the storm so that they could not have to fight and battle so hard. Or was he preparing them for a life that says everything and everyone is going to be opposed to you? This is not even hard right now. Did you not hear what I just talked about in Matthew chapter 10? I know Jesus probably didn't say it in Matthew chapter 10, but what I'm talking about is, when we read Matthew chapter 10, he made it very clear. This is what's coming. If you choose to follow me, you're not even worthy of me unless you can put me above all and everything. And then, when you do that, everything and everyone will come down against you. The goal to break you. The bigger you are as a air quote Christian, the more that people see you and you get puffed up, the bigger that fall becomes, and Jesus looks worse and worse. but he meant to pass them by. But when they saw him walking on the sea, when eyewitness accounts of men in a boat rowing across the water in a storm, not calm waters, not like easy waters to walk on, not like the shore where it kind of looked like he was walking on the water, 3 to 4 miles out in the water, walking on the sea. Eyewitnesses. When they saw him coming near the boat, they thought it was a ghost. They were terrified. We've never seen something walk on water. We don't know we are in a battle. Do you ever realize sometimes when you're in absolute chaos in a battle, you kind of forget all the things that you once knew? Everything seems different than what it actually is. When you think someone's in the house and it's 3 a.m. and you're waking up and you're walking through the house, a shirt hanging over an elliptical machine all of a sudden becomes an intruder, right? That noise that you hear becomes someone trying to get into your home. And then your mind starts to wander and you start to go crazy. These guys were battling. They were battling, possibly for their life. Who knows? The water wasn't still, and there's Jesus just walking across it. No big deal. I'll see you guys when we get to the other side. Enjoy the battle. Because this is nothing compared to what is coming. This is nothing compared to what is coming. I am trying to prepare you. I'm trying to show you the path that I walk and the one that I have you on, and that I want you to be near me. I want you to want to battle for me. I want you to want to do whatever it takes to go wherever I send you, to say whatever I have for you to say. So they cry out in fear, "It is a ghost." I'm not sure why ghost is the first thing they went to, but maybe because it was walking on the water and resembled a human. That's probably pretty good. All right, it says, "For they all saw him and were terrified." We have multiple accounts here saying that what we saw is undeniable. Did we witness the breaking of the bread and the fish and feeding 5, 10, 15, 20,000 people? We did witness that. Yep. Did we witness him heal people? Yep, witness that. We're not talking like, "I got the sniffles, can you take them away?" We're talking like, my arm is shorter than the other arm and I can't use it to work, and now it's normal. We're talking about, I have a disease called leprosy. It's a skin disease that's eating up my skin, and my nose fell off last Tuesday, and I can't be around other people. We're talking about that kind of healing where he has a nose again, and now everything is better. That's what we're talking about. He meant to pass them by. Not to leave them, but to remind them of where they were going. To remind them of who they were following. To remind them that while they're in the boat struggling, Jesus will walk right through that valley and lead you to the other side. He's not going to send you someplace that he's not going to be. He will intercede for you. Maybe the whole night he spent in prayer for his disciples to see this test and to pass it. But immediately Jesus spoke to them. From the water he was walking on, in the storm and the wind, he spoke to them, and this is what he said. And this is what he's saying to you. If your life is chaos, if you feel like you're in a boat trying to get somewhere, and the wind and the waves and the water are all against you, if you feel this way, and we often do, right? It's like, I'm trying to get to you, God, but it seems like everything is against me. It is. See, I'm trying to walk the life of a disciple, but it just seems like everything is against me. And you say, yes, now you're getting it. Now you're hearing my words and you're seeing them put into action. But listen to what I say. Take heart. It is I. Do not fear. What were they more afraid of? The storm or Jesus walking on the water? It was Jesus walking on the water that freaked them out. Sometimes it's going to be the amazing things that are done in our lives through the power of Jesus that freak us out. When we actually look up out of the storm and see that He's actually walking right next to us. When we actually look up and see that we weren't left alone, that He's right there next to us. When we see that Jesus never leaves us, He never sends us where He's not going to be. That His plans are good and that we should follow them. When we see these things, when our focus is not on the storm that we're in the boat that we're in. Imagine what an American would sound like right now, a Christian American in that boat. Imagine the complaining. I mean, if we're going to be out like this, wouldn't Jesus calm, why would He not just calm the sea so we can get to the other side? And why this boat? It's got a leak in it. Look at those guys' boat. Look how much better their boat is. You know what? When we get to shore, we're going to talk to Jesus about this because I can't keep doing things for Him with this inferior stuff. Like, we could have been here yesterday if I had a little motor on the back of this sucker, right? This boat stinks. Oh, don't even get me started about the oars and the people that I'm rowing with. I mean, come on. For real? Matthew, have you ever touched an oar in your life? Do you even know how to row a boat? I mean, let's be honest. Okay, the fish and the bread were good, but that was it? I mean, I need a little bit of variety in my meal, okay? And bread and fish just aren't cutting it. How many times are we going to have bread and fish? I mean, what are we doing with these leftovers? Why doesn't Jesus just tell those people to go away? They're never going to get it. They don't understand what He's talking about. And what is Jesus doing anyway? Just sends us out here alone? Like, you would think if He would send us someplace, He would at least join us. Like, there would actually be a reason for us to be out here. And I'm just getting started on the American Christian. Our battle is in spiritual warfare. Our lives are cush. We are kings and queens. Maybe we'll start being disciples. But just know this, okay? Know this. In your storm, Jesus walks on top of it. In your storm, Jesus can command it. In your journey, Jesus can change where you are and how you get there. In your life, take heart. It is I. Do not be afraid. No matter what is happening or how it's happening to you, remember those words. When you are in the middle of the storm, take heart. It is I. Do not be afraid. Have faith that it is me, Jesus, walking on top of your storm. Ooh, and we're only halfway through the story. So let's get to the end of it tomorrow. Love you guys, and I will see you then.